Hello, everyone. Welcome to English 1302, Section V37, Summer 2. My name is Robin Bell, and this is a brief video overview for how this course will run. To begin with, you probably already know that this is a 4.5 week session, and if you haven't taken a short summer session before, it's extremely fast paced and it's about a third of the regular length of a normal semester. So it's very compressed, and we kind of have to fit a lot of stuff into a very short time space. Part of this video, I'm going to bounce back and forth between this class and another summer class I'm teaching, which is a 10-week course. That one is still compressed, but it gives a lot more room than what we have in this one. So let's take a look at a couple of things in terms of how the class is organized. One of the first things you'll notice in our class is that there's a module called Syllabus, Pronto, and Sundries, and this is where you'll find a copy of the course syllabus. I do already have one open here on the tab that we'll take a look at in just a moment, but if we open this, we'll see that there's just a couple of things in here. There's a folder for Syllabus and Pronto, and there is a folder for MLA formatting and writing support. This is going to be a module that you access fairly frequently so that you can access both the syllabus and Pronto instant messaging. Most students are probably already familiar with this if you've attended STC in a previous semester, but if you're not, it's basically a course messaging system that allows us to communicate with each other when we're on a computer like I am right now. I can just click on this link, which I'll do in just a moment. And I can also download the phone app from whichever phone app store your phone applies to, either the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. And if I click on this, the very first time in the class, you're likely to get a message like this. It's not really an error. All you have to do is go back into the tab, click into it a second time, and it'll take us right into the platform. It only does that the very first time you click into it, and then thereafter it will take you right in. It will ask you if you have pronoun preferences and that kind of thing. I usually just skip those, and now we're in the Pronto space. If I post something right here, I can type a message, I can send a GIF, attach files, put emojis. If I type something here to the class, the whole class will be able to see that. If I ever want to message a student individually, I can come in here and do this, and you can do the same. So you can have private conversations with one or two other classmates. You can create groups, and just so you know, if you create groups or paired conversations in here that are private, I can't see those. So there's really no need for you to use WhatsApp and things like that, I guess, unless the class just really wanted to, because we kind of have a one-stop shopping messaging system here for whole class discussion or questions, or also for one-on-one direct messages. This is one of the main ways that we'll communicate as a class, especially in an online class. So it's important that you check this every single day during summer session, because the time is so compressed that if there is something amiss, if there is some kind of question, you're likely to miss out on something important if you're not checking this daily. So I highly recommend that you download the phone app. When you're on your computer, it's good to have a tab open like this, and you can see when there's a notification for something coming up. And then if you have it on your phone app and you have the notifications on, at least during times when you can check, then you're much less likely to miss out on announcements. You're also going to want to be familiar with the syllabus, which I already have a tab open here. And I've scrolled to the very bottom because you're going to read the rest of the syllabus on your own to take the syllabus quiz. But you'll see what we have planned for each week. And over on the right, you'll see the main assignments that we have due. There may be some times when I have other little things that maybe due that I don't list here, but I try to list everything that we're doing the first week and the main things that we're doing thereafter here. But you'll always be aware of what's due from inside the course as well. You'll see the assignments that we have due the first week, obviously the standard stuff, the syllabus quiz. There's going to be a playback quiz based on this video. So I'm going to twist arms and make sure that everybody watches this video so that everybody knows how the course is organized and how we plan to proceed through the course. So this playback quiz is basically just a video that you're going to watch all the way through for the points, and you won't click back into it, because if you do, it resets it to 0. So you'll just click play, watch it, leave it alone, then the grade will post, and I'll put a plain copy of this video in the course for anyone who wants to go back and review anything. We'll also have an online icebreaker in a kind of a digital bulletin board called Padlet, and it's super fun, super easy. Just a way for us to sort of break down barriers and get to know each other a little bit before we get started. We also have a platform called Hypothesis, which is where we will annotate, and either individually and or in groups, the text that we read together. And our first unit, which I'll click into and show you in just a moment, is a primary source paper over a single work of literature. So we're going to read that and annotate it in this platform that I'll show you in just a moment. And this is going to be the basis for our very first paper. Now, as you might imagine, this is going to be an extremely fast-paced class, but I'm going to do my very best to break it down into a way that's still sort of manageable. But I will say, you know, it's a lot for 4.5 weeks. So I'm just giving you some fair warning. We do have to meet the same requirements that a course that's given in the 15-week regular semester has to meet, but I lighten the load a little bit. Instead of us doing 3 papers, we're going to do 2, but I have to bump up the page counts on those so that we can meet the required page counts for this course. So fewer papers, but longer papers, but we're going to break those up as best we can. If we scroll down, we see that we've got a Start Here folder. All your professors have this in their courses, or should. Some things are going to be very similar because the school gives us those things to present here, but there are a fair amount of items that are personalized too, so go through those as you see fit. Some of the things that you see here will be hidden when your class goes live. This is a module for a mini project that's kind of fun. It's not very difficult to do, and it's a mini project, and also there's going to be an incentive for everybody to abide by the academic integrity and AI policies in the course, such that those that do will also get to count this grade twice, once for the project and once for the final exam. Our first paper is writing a literary argument over a short story. It's a very famous short story. It's a Japanese murder mystery that's open-ended, and it's about a samurai who is murdered, and there are 3 primary suspects: his wife, a robber that they encounter, or a thief they encounter on the road, and himself. So all 3 confess to it. It's a big hot mess. You can't tell who's telling the truth, who's lying. They're all probably telling some element of the truth and some element of a fabrication of some kind. And so our job is to sort through the facts, the discrepancies, and your basic task will be to write an argument that makes a case for who the real killer is, and that counter-argues against the other false confessors, explaining how they couldn't possibly have done it and why they would have confessed to a murder that they didn't commit. So it's a super fun unit, and it's a good one to start with. We are required to write at least 1 paper over a work of literature. This is it. That short story is about 7 pages in length, so it's not a heavy read at all, but it's one that you're going to have to read very carefully and multiple times in order to write the paper. But it should be a fun way to start off the class, and we'll spend about a week and a half on that. This first week is kind of a half week, but we get 5 days out of it if you count the weekends. So this first unit will go from weeks 1 into week 2, and then we're on to the next. Um, I mentioned earlier that when we read things, they'll be in a hypothesis assignment. I'm going to go ahead and click on this and show you what it'll look like once you click into it. And it takes a moment for it to load. And here is the short story. And I need to fix the group sets on this, so we'll disregard that for just a moment, or I guess I'll just go in here and fix it. There we go. And now we're set. So now you see the short story here. You can print it out here. I also have a plain copy of this outside of this assignment that you can print there. Highly recommend that you annotate it by hand. I have my copy annotated. I actually have several copies annotated by hand. But basically what this is, if you haven't used it before, it's an annotation tool. And sometimes I use this for individual annotations where you're just going to see the article and you're going to be annotating in a space all by yourself. Nobody else can see it but you and me. And then there are going to be other times where you may be in a group and there may be some replies and back and forth with classmates. But we're so pressed for time, a lot of our annotations will probably be individual because it's just quicker that way. So you notice that I've got us all in groups of one, so you'll only be able to annotate in your own group. But how this works is you'll come through, and I recommend printing it out and reading it first just so you kind of have a sense of it. But when you're ready to come back and annotate, one of the first things you're going to need to do is read the instructions above, because inside that hypothesis assignment there's not enough room for me to put instructions. So I generally create instructions on another file, and you can see what are the tag types, how many do I have to do, and that kind of thing. I usually put some kind of indication in the blurb right here too, but you can't just go by this. This is a reminder that you need to aim for at least 3 annotations per page, but I think on a lot of pages you will discover that you need more than that. So I always give a number, because that's, if I don't, that's the first thing students ask is how many do I need to do, and I need to have some kind of baseline so I don't have everybody just doing 3 for the whole article. Anytime you're annotating something, you should have some kind of response or reaction on every single page, and so the 3 minimum per page just kind of guarantees that there will be some. Overall, you'll be shooting for 25 to 30 annotations minimum on this annotation assignment. And just so you know, these annotation assignments are not really for me, and they're not performative. They're not to impress me, anything like that. They're for you. This is a space for you to annotate. And if we go back in, one of the great things about it, and I'll show you one in this other class that I already have loaded over here, and this is a longer summer session, but there are some of the same types of assignments that you have. They read a different work of literature because they have more time. And let me scroll down and look for a hypothesis assignment here. They read a play, and they read that play like many times. So I had 4 different hypothesis assignments on that one play, and each time we read it, there was something different that we focused on. So usually at the beginning of these hypothesis assignments, you know, there'll be some kind of reminder and a GIF for me. But again, remember, you have to click on the PDF above this assignment, and I'll usually have a reminder about that, like, hey, look at the instructions above the assignment, because if you just click in and start going, you won't necessarily know what to do, what the tag types are, what the aims of the annotations are, and that kind of thing. It's not just willy-nilly. There are always objectives to the assignment, but again, they are not performative at all. So let me just click on some, and you'll see that when you have one, if it says more and there you needs to expand, you'll click on more. But if I'm going to annotate something, basically what I'll do is I'll go wherever it is that I need to annotate, and I just clicked on that to show you, and it comes up with a little annotate or highlight. We always want to choose annotate, the little thing with the quotation marks, and then when you click that, notice that it opens a text box which will expand as much as needed. for you to post your comment. And then this is, where you type your comments and it gets as big as it needs. You can make things bold by using that. And when you do that, at first it doesn't look like it did it. It puts like asterisks on either side, but you'll see that once you click post to your name, those things will come up in bold. This little box right here is for tag types, and for all assignments you have to tag your annotations, because I typically have instructions that say, oh, you need to have at least this many of this kind of tag and at least this many of that kind of tag, and so on. So you want to look at that so you can put those there. And so one tag type might be question, for example, on some assignments. And so if this happened to be a question, then you would put that. If it's a different kind of tag, you would put that, and so on. You can also, as you saw in my initial post, if you ever want to increase the visual interest of a particular post, you can post something if it's relevant there. It's generally not required for most assignments, but for some it is. You can post videos, you can post pictures, you can post links to articles, all kinds of things up there. But you want to make sure that you've got the tag types here, and then let's say if I'm going to do that one, there's tag types, but then there's also descriptors. So it's really good to put just natural language descriptors for each of your posts, so that later when you're looking for the topic of that post, you've got some descriptors there so that you can quickly find what you need, and you just type those there and you click post. So it's really easy to do in a mechanical sense, and this is a third-party tool. So one thing to keep in mind with third-party tools is that once you do it, and you do have to click post. So when you're done with your post, you have to click that, and now it posts. And if you don't click post, it's not going to stick to the page. So notice now it is stuck to the page, it is posted. But if I just left that edit box open and then I closed it out, this is not going to save. And another thing to be aware of is that you don't want to leave the hypothesis tab open for just hours on end, because it can time out and then it's not going to save what you have. So don't just leave it open. If you need to come back to it later, that's totally fine, but go ahead and make sure that you save your post and then close it out and then come back and reopen it. For this kind of tool right here, there's no submit button, there's nothing that you have to click. If you can see your annotations here and you posted to your name, I'll be able to see them as well. Once you click out and until I grade it, in Blackboard, it'll make it seem like you haven't done it. It'll say that it's late or whatnot. Disregard that. That only happens for third-party tools, and third-party tools are basically programs that integrate well with Blackboard, but they don't come with Blackboard. So on those, if they ever say late or not launched or whatever, just totally ignore that. It's fine. It's posted. I can see it. If you can see it, I can see it. So it's very dynamic, very good. And again, these are not performative. These are not something to be outsourced to AI. This is a thinking space for you. And if you do this in the right spirit, it's actually kind of fun to do, and it's very useful because you can come back and look at your annotations, and they can generally be helpful when you're trying to figure out how to approach different things in your paper. I guess while I briefly mentioned AI there, you'll see this when you read my my AI policy. I am an AI forward professor, and I probably will ask you to use AI more than many of your other professors, but only in certain ethical contexts for a class like this one. So just to be clear, even though I'm AI forward and I'm a big fan of it, and I see a lot of power in it in terms of it being a good, not just a learning tool, but a conversation partner, a tutor, a thought partner. There's so many different use cases for it. But we will never, ever use AI to write our papers for us, to write our assignments for us, to do our hypothesis assignments for us. And given that we have 4.5 weeks, we have less time than any other kind of course, 10-week mini mester. This is like the shortest thing that we offer. And so we don't have time to mess around. We don't have time to, um, for me to catch a bunch of people using AI and have conversations about it and say, please don't do it anymore and give a second chance and so on. I am inclined to second chances when people are honest and forthcoming. I'm very good at ferreting out unauthorized AI use, and I'm very nice about pointing it out. I'm not going to fuss, I'm not going to whatever, but we can't have that. We do have to color between or inside the lines, so to speak. And even though we're going to use it in some really powerful and ethical ways, such as that we have time for. Keep in mind that we're extremely compressed for time. So there are going to be some things that we're going to lean pretty heavily on for AI. But with few exceptions, there are a few exceptions here, but with few exceptions, we're not going to use it in ways that are circumventing learning or doing your thinking. So, there still are a lot of things that we have to abide by. So I just want to say that because I don't want anybody to get behind, and I don't want this to be a situation where we have several people that end up behind and more stressed than they would otherwise be from using AI in ways that I'm not okay with, and then not being able to move forward until you've redone whatever that assignment was, if it's a situation that needs to be redone before you move forward. So just want to ask everybody to please bear that in mind, because I'm starting with a full house. I want to end with a full house. I want everybody to get their credit and everybody to get a good grade. And I will say that for the students that stick it through all the way to the end and abide by the policies and do your best and reach out to me, that generally people do pass the course, and most people who are in that boat pass with a C or better. Many of the people left at the end have an A or a B. So this class is not hard to be successful in, but it's a work-intensive class, and it will feel even more so because it's a compressed summer session. You're going to have something due most days of the week simply because it's a summer school, a summer class. So a couple of other things that I want to point out. I've clicked back into our class in terms of how we organize the class. Now, right now, I don't have all the assignments loaded in for the first unit, but basically what you'll see when you click inside is here's that copy of the short story that I told you. You'll see the weekly folders, and I typically have an overview and to-do list right above the weeks. You are going to want to click into the different weeks and process the lessons. You don't necessarily have to process them in order, or all at once. Rather, you do need to process them in order, but you don't necessarily need to process them all at once. And you'll have to use common sense to determine which ones you need to access before doing an assignment. All of my assignments do assume that you have read and or watched the lesson content that those assignments are based on, or that unit is based on. And I don't recommend that you click on assignments and just wing them, especially drafts and things like that, because if you're just kind of going on vibes and trying to figure out like, okay, I have to write a paper on this story and I'm just going to wing it or whatnot, then you're not going to end up following directions from the assignment sheet or from the lessons, and that will have a negative impact on your progress for that draft, and a negative impact on the grade because you're not taking advantage of the things that I've put together for you to help you be successful on those kinds of assignments. So one other thing you'll notice is that the lessons will be inside the weekly folders, but the assignments will be outside of them inside that unit. So all of the assignments for it's actually the first unit. I need to change the number on that, but all of the assignments for that unit will be underneath the last folder, and those will just keep accumulating until we're done with that unit. And then we go on to the next one. You'll open that one and you'll see that all of those things, let me click on this to open it, and you'll see, if I can get it to open, there we go, and you'll see all those things, and then you'll start seeing the assignment sheets, or the assignments that go under that thing. And what that does is it keeps the outer part nice and organized. But I also like to remove assignments from inside the weekly folders, because those to me are for lessons. And if you're ever looking for a particular assignment, it can be very cumbersome for both you and me to try to remember, was that in week 4? Was that in week 5? What week was that in? Where is it? Whereas we just know that it's at the bottom of the folders for that unit, then it's easy to find, it's easy to scroll to see where you are. So that's how the course is organized. So a couple of other things before I wrap this up. You are going to want to make sure that you click on the announcements, check to see if there are announcements daily. You want to check the Pronto messages and stay in contact through that method. Remember that once you read the syllabus, you'll see that I don't use Blackboard messages except in very rare cases, like if I can't get hold of you any other way. So please don't send me any messages here. I don't check these. I only check Pronto and my regular STC email, which is listed on the syllabus, and it's easy to remember. It's rbell@southtexascollege.edu. Let's see, a few other things for our class. And usually what I do the very first day or week of class, I do something just to make sure that nobody misses out. I'll usually put the syllabus quiz here at the top, so that'll be the first thing you see. Obviously, you need to read the syllabus first, or open it up and have it in a tab so that you can look up actually I recommend that you read the syllabus, then come through and answer the questions. Don't just do the Control F trick to look for the answer. And you can also upload the syllabus into NotebookLM or one of the AI platforms, and you can interact with it that way too. So that's perfectly fine. Also, it's a really easy syllabus quiz, but you're responsible for everything in the syllabus, not just what I ask for here. So make sure you read the whole thing, because this syllabus is a contract between you and me, and it has all of my policies on here, and you want to make sure that you are okay with all of those, because if you're not, then maybe this isn't the class for you. For example, we will have some things that are AI required, some that are AI optional, but again, we have very clear boundaries on what is okay to use AI with or on, and what is not okay to use it on, along with best practices. Some students are very against that, so if you're uncomfortable using AI in ways that I believe to be are ethical, but if you're uncomfortable for whatever reason, then that's something good for you to know now, so that you can make whatever decision is in your best interest. But I hope everybody doesn't mind that, because I really do think it's a powerful learning tool if used the right way. If used the wrong way, obviously it can have the complete opposite effect. So it's like a tool, like anything else. It can be used for good, it can be used for ill. I hope we can all use it for good and in ways that are ethical and supportive of your learning. Let's see, what else am I forgetting? I think that is probably it for now. Oh, actually not. A couple of other things. The other assignments that we have right underneath the syllabus quiz is the Getting to Know Your Class Icebreaker. Let me click into that very briefly. And this is what Padlet looks like, but what I recommend, and you can use it for all kinds of things. This is just one of the introductory things that I use it for. This is our icebreaker. But when you click in here, it's kind of in this box. It's really better if you click on the square with the arrow so you can pop it out of its container, if you will. Makes it easier to work with. And this is like a place where you're going to put your introduction to the class, and the rules are these. You got to put something visual, so it could be a selfie, it could be, obviously this is an AI, I don't want to say filter, it's not an AI filter, it's an AI rendering of me based on a picture that I uploaded. And it's pretty a close approximation of what I look like, but an improved version. I don't normally sit around in a blazer in front of a cafe, especially not in the summer, and not that put together either. But this is a place for us to share a few fun facts about each other, break down barriers, and hopefully show each other in the class a little bit about one another so that we can break down barriers and feel comfortable asking me questions, comfortable connecting with your classmates. So basically, you're just going to list maybe 5 fun facts about yourself. Do be specific. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. I tell a few basic things here. You can look later. Silly things like I can juggle. I met my husband in kindergarten, and he teaches here too. Things like that, so that we can kind of see things about each other that we wouldn't normally get to share, especially in a short session like this. And then there's a place down below for us to add comments and shout outs, like maybe we watch the same Netflix show, maybe we have a question to ask somebody, that kind of thing. And so the idea is that on your first post, you come in, you post your introduction to the class, and then as it starts to fill up, you come in and you reply or give a shout out to at least 2 classmates, and that's the minimum obligation. But I hope you go beyond that, because the point of this is beyond just the little 100 that you get in the grade book. The idea is for us to see that we're all in the same boat together and that we're all on the same side. So please check back and make sure you answer questions that people have posed to you, and that you respond to more than 2 people. Kind of speak when the spirit moves you, not just to reach the bare minimum. All right, so that's the icebreaker. And then there's going to be one more thing after I wrap this video. Right now you see a placeholder for a Yuja welcome video, and Yuja is another third-party tool, and I'll click into the other class just to show you what one looks like. And let's see, I'm here in Unit 1 for the other summer class. Let me see, I should have one in here somewhere so you can see what it looks like. There we go. Here's their welcome video. It's got this little colorful swirl over here, and you'll usually see a title like this, Yuja Playback Quiz. It's a video platform where I can take the YouTube videos that I make for a course, and I can put them in this platform, and I can add questions, or I can just make it a playback quiz, which typically I do for things like this, and it's points just for watching. And basically what you do is you just click in here. It takes a moment to load, and then once it does, well, it's giving me an error because that's already passed in the other class, but it won't do that in yours. You'll click on it, it comes up with the player, you watch it all the way through, you get the points, and you don't click back in at all. Just wait until the deadline passes, and it will post. And I will always put a plain copy of the video in the corresponding folder for the week that we're on. So once the first couple of days have passed and everybody has done the syllabus quiz and the icebreaker and the Yuja video quiz, then I will drag these where they belong, which is in the Unit 1 module. So after the first couple of days, all assignments will be in a given module for the unit that we are working on. One last thing is that we do have 2 papers in the class, which I mentioned before. One is a primary source paper over a single work of literature, which is the short story, no outside research, no AI obviously on the drafting, and the ideation. We really want to be working with this completely on our own, plus anything else just takes the fun out of it. It's a murder mystery, and I think most people really enjoy reading the story and enjoy the challenge of trying to make a case for who they think the real killer is. And then the other unit is a research paper on the subject of happiness. All the papers in this class are arguments, so we're not writing any other kinds of papers at all. They're all strictly arguments, so they have to be persuasive in nature, and they need to be based on logic, evidence, and your ability to connect the dots and make a case for something. All right, that's it. That's a wrap. I want to welcome everybody to this class. I want to wish you much success in this course and all your others. And just remind everybody, too, to take time for yourself to decompress and don't allow anything to be stressful. Manage your time, stay on top of things, reach out to me when you have questions. I'm in your corner and I'm here to help. I hope everybody has a great first day and a great first week. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you soon. Y'all have a good one. I'm going to wrap this and so I can get this posted.